I don't have a clipboard. I don't have a phone. Like I said, new member Sunday. It does my heart good to see so many folks turn out, like you said, on such short notice. And the work of anti-racism action is difficult, and it is challenging, and it is mine, and it is yours. I had a conversation Saturday night. I reached out and called a handful of ministers, called and texted and Facebooked and all that other stuff that we do, and just checked in with the people of color that I knew here in Atlantic County. And now keep in mind, I've been on the job since August 1st, so it's a short list. But I knew 3 or 4 people, and I reached out and said, how you doing? You know, how are you doing? And people were hurting. They're hurting a lot. The thing that I noticed that was different in the responses I saw in people in my community is that the white folks were outraged, just horrified and outraged and shocked. And the people of color were horrified but not shocked. I mean, I came here from spending 2 years in St. Louis. And I can tell you that in Ferguson, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The first white officer is being brought up on charges. He's being brought to trial for killing an unarmed black man. There's video shot by somebody from their house. And Reverend Tracy Blackman spoke to a crowd in St. Louis last week and said that she's not expecting a conviction. The work of undoing white supremacy is ours, and white supremacy is one of those terms that it makes people uncomfortable. And the fact of the matter is, this nation was founded on white supremacy. Don't hold it against me, but I'm originally from Massachusetts. And I cannot tell you the number of school field trips that we went to the Plymouth Rock, which is actually just sort of a rock. It's got 1620 carved in it or something like that. But what we never heard in school was that once those pilgrims who left Amsterdam because it was too liberal even then, I mean, they went from England. They didn't like England, so they went to Amsterdam. Why they thought that would be a good idea, I'm not sure. But from there, they went to this new world, nearly starved to death. But once they got a harvest in them, they set about killing all the people who saved them. They set about giving away blankets infected with smallpox. And I've used the metaphor before. I like to cook in cast iron. Anybody here cook in cast iron? Okay, I can't be the only one. Okay, yeah. Now, when you season a new piece of cast iron, when you cook in it the first time, it'll carry that flavor forever. So if I get a new cast iron pan and I go to the bodega and I get some really great chorizo and I cook in that pan, in a year's time I can make scrambled eggs in that frying pan, and honey, that's going to taste, they're going to be good, but they're going to taste like that chorizo. So America's foundational DNA is infused with white supremacy. And there's no definition more clear than the belief that Anglo-European identity is superior to everything else. That's what they believed. I had a bunch of really interesting things to say. Mostly what I want to say tonight, and I'm speaking to those of you who are my kin, those of you who identify as white, is that this work is ours. When I spoke with Reverend William Williams on Sunday morning, I said, what can we do that would be helpful? And he said, I want you to have something at your church. I said, are you sure? And he said, yes, it needs to be white people doing the work. He said, if white supremacy is going to end in America, it's going to have to be dismantled by white people. And so I struggled today, because I know this is, we're talking in big, vague, theoretical, philosophical terms. So what can you do when you leave here to make a difference? And I'm pretty sure I didn't print enough of these things. But tell you what, for those of you who are tech savvy, hand off your piece of paper to somebody else who isn't, and I want you to write down, I want you to take a note of a thing called a safety pin box. Now, the safety pin box is founded by two black women, and it was in response to what they saw as the feel-good placebo movement of people wearing safety pins on our jackets and on our backpacks and everything else. And what they do is they offer a variety of subscription programs, and this is designed as a tool for white allyship. And once a month, if you pay, $100 a month or something like that, well, there's 3 different levels. The backpack's $25, the safety pin box is $100 a month, and they will send you a thing every day that you can do in your daily life to help dismantle racism and white supremacy in America. And they take the money that they have, that they earn in profit, and they give it directly, reparation-wise, to women of color. Every now and then they'll put out an ask and they'll say, if you're a woman of color and you need help with your electric bill, tell us what it is and we'll send you a check. That's direct support. And that's what we're going to send tonight's collection for. Okay? So, I encourage you to subscribe. It's a good project. The other thing that, this is so our work. On one of the handouts, we've got this little pyramid of white supremacy. And there are things, we talk about how's your family, right? Having those difficult conversations with your family. I had a conversation with a family member recently who had seen Hidden Figures. And I was fortunate enough at the time to see it in a movie theater in St. Louis. And I was one of 4 white people in the theater. Everybody else were women of color of a certain age that I'm smart enough not to ask. And then I talked with this family member about the movie, and this person said to me, boy, it was subtle and you had to look for it, but the racism was there. We all got to start someplace. We all got to start someplace. And so what I'm asking you to do is when you get up in the morning, take a look at this little pyramid, and as you go through your day, notice when things benefit you that maybe don't benefit others. Like the fact that, and I'm going to jinx it, I know I am, I haven't got a speeding ticket since I went gray and started dressing like this. And I know that's wrapped in a lot of privilege. That's wrapped in my white privilege, that I'm driving a boring gray sedan, and that I look upsettingly like Father Richie from my childhood. You knew Father Richie? Like every Irish priest in Boston. Just stamped him out of a mold back then. But the work is ours, and we need to take this stuff to heart. White supremacy is the water I swim in, and it is the seasoning of the pan in which I grew up. I grew up Irish Catholic just outside of Boston. I never had a person of color friend in my life until graduate school. My aunt had a party one time, and there were 7 Marys, 6, some derivation of Margaret or Peggy or Peg or Meg, and a similar number of Elizabeths. It was I was steeped in that Irish culture. And when I went off to graduate school, one of the things I did was I wanted to go to a larger city because I knew I was limited. I wanted to have uncomfortable conversations. I had no idea how uncomfortable they would be. And I will tell you, this is hard work, and it's embarrassing when we get it wrong. And we think we're enlightened, and we screw up. And those of us who came through previous justice movements, whether it's queer rights, or whether it's ACT UP in AIDS, or whether it's the feminist liberation movement, right? We think we're enlightened. We know what this is about, and yet we never learn the name of our neighbors who don't look like us. This is a fight. And I will tell you that it will be won with our hearts. That love wins in the end. And if love hasn't won, it's not the end. Okay? Love wins in the end. And if love hasn't won, we're not done. And I will also tell you that my heart is a muscle the size of my fists. And I need to love as hard as I fight, and fight as hard as I love, to do this work, to step into my own discomfort, to own where white supremacy benefits me, and it does, and to do what I can to dismantle it in my lifetime. I wish I had something more exciting or inspirational to say. Perhaps I'm intimidated by all the people. That's really kind of fun. So when you leave here tonight, don't say, well, you know, I went to that thing at the Unitarian Church. I'm good, right? This is where it starts. For some of us, this is the midpoint because you've done some of this before, but for some of us, this is where it begins. This is where you sign up for the safety pin box subscription, and you get uncomfortable things to do every day. This is where we let go of what we think we know and prepare to listen to others. We've gone over, and I appreciate your patience. It's hot, it's crowded. Some of you have been incredibly patient with our resin lawn chairs, and I appreciate that. And so now I think, shall we go with the old Methodist hymn that Barbara will introduce, and we will all sing. And may you be blessed this evening as you go. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I forgot. I've had a really remarkable day of conversations with police chiefs. There was an incident this morning. One of the organizers of the violence in Charlottesville lives in Ocean City. And some number of anarchists and anti-fascists found him this morning and commenced to attack and beat him severely in the parking lot of a pancake house down that way. So all the police chiefs in the area this morning got this alert that violence is ripe, right? Because the Nazis are mad that their guy got beat up, and the anarchists are all happy because they're all energized because they, banged on a bad guy. And then everybody's sort of like, and what's going on tonight in Galloway? So you will notice we have a police presence outside, and that's because of that. We went ahead and paid for a couple of officers that are just designated for us. The police chief over in Stockton put a cruiser out there to help people get back and forth across the street. So when you leave tonight, we have had a wonderful night full of great people and fabulous energy. And I don't know that that's going to stay outside those doors. So when you go to your car, go in 2s and 3s, please. Okay? Don't go alone, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, all those guns at everybody, officers outside in the parking lot will scare away most folks bent on doing bad things, but not all, okay? So be safe. Be safe. Now, thank you to all of our speakers. What? Oh, hang on. Did I really see that? Reverend Williams, are you here? You want to come up? Well, you all set? I'm sorry, Barbara. Thank you, friend. Yeah, it's time to go. Good to see you. Thank you.
I apologize for being late, but God bless you. Are we? We're 20 minutes over, so amen. It's time to go home. Amen. And the fight is real, and so continue to have the divine strength from above to have what you can to fight. It's easy for one person to change, but it's harder for a collective group to change. And if we as a collective group can change, and we can change at our dinner tables, we can change in our communities, we can change in our places of worship, we can teach our kids, we can teach the kids can teach us. If we can collectively change, then we are going to win this fight. Amen.
All right. Big round of applause for all our speakers.